are strong, we are resolute, we know how to deal with the crime situation. So that was our poll this morning. Do you agree with that statement? We had 25 people weighing in on the poll. 15 said no, 10 said yes. So 15 people said no, they do not agree with the commissioner. 10 people agreed with him that they have the crime situation under, they know how to deal with the crime situation. Right? You know, so, well, as I said, kudos to the police when they do well, but when they mess up, we criticize them. Trust me.
All right.
And but when they've done well in this case, I don't know if you all saw the video of I'm not, how do I describe this video? It appeared to be, I don't know if it was part of this shooting, where an officer stood over one of the guys on the ground, and they kind of kicked him to see if he was still alive, and then they shot him again. You saw that?
No, I never saw that.
Okay, there's that video.
Yeah, I didn't see
I don't know if it's related to this incident, but you saw it, Steve?
No, I didn't. Yeah, we could send it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, do I have any more votes here? Let's ask our guest. Let's say good morning to Commander Garvin Heerah. Of course, we did ask this morning, Garvin.
Recording in progress.
Do you agree with the acting police commissioner that the police know how to deal with crime situations? That was our question this morning. What says you? Good morning.
Okay, well, I have to do a partial agreement. I know you don't have a room for that. I think that we are seeing an improvement. So I'm saying yes, but we need to see more application. I know if you're not going to take an explanation, so you're going to yes or no, right? So I'm saying yes, the police have knowledge into dealing with certain crime situations.
Well, you are our guest, so you can give an explanation.
Yes, for real. Yeah, because you see what is happening is that we understand that we have an increase, we have an escalation in crime or whatever, but in all fairness, the police service is undergoing that sort of turnover. What we would like to see is a more robust approach to treating with it, because at the end of the day, crime fighting is the police business, and they understand that. But embracing the technology, utilizing it, maximizing it into the whole aspect of crime fighting and policing is what we need to see now. So I'm hopeful that some of the observations that we've seen within the last 48 hours is a sort of privy as to the new dynamics that the police is hoping to embrace. But definitely a lot more executing policing, especially in the line of technologically driven police operations, and that is just as the police acting police commissioner would have said, maximizing the technology, utilizing the grid, the choke points, some of the stuff that worked on Monday.
Well, obviously you have a criminal element that feels empowered, and I think they feel empowered because of the type of weaponry they have. In addition to whatever psychological empowerment they feel in terms of whatever weakness they perceive in the national security infrastructure, whether real or imagined. So the issue of that empowerment in terms of the kind of weaponry, how can the state deal with that? Because this is a conversation we've been having for years. The issue of guns, where they're coming from. Are they coming through legal routes? What kind of rogue element is operating in terms of the Coast Guard and Customs in allowing this type of weaponry to get into the country? How much of it is coming through in terms of the Venezuelans, the Venezuelan mafia that would obviously be creeping across into Trinidad in terms of that cross-national kind of criminal syndicate that we hear experts saying exists? Are you satisfied that the state is paying attention to all of those gaps in terms of the national security infrastructure?
But I believe a lot more attention needs to be paid at those gaps, and it is not only the channel of the that sort of illegal trade between Venezuela and Trinidad. Yes, we have all sorts of contraband, you name it, that is coming from the mainland. But what we have seen recently now is that there seems to be a more prominence of illegal arms trade in Trinidad, SALW, small arms and light weapons, utilizing, for instance, the container trade and legitimate business aspects right through our ports. So I think more attention needs to be paid in that direction, and all of the authorities that are involved needs to escalate their vigilance, up their game, and apply a sort of zero tolerance to that, including intelligence-driven, including the technology, because where have all these weapons all of a sudden surfaced on the streets? And we have 6 perpetrators jumping out of a vehicle, everybody armed with high-powered military assault weapons, shooting within close quarter quadrants, in a shopping center, so we saw it was messy, it was also indisciplined, and you come back to the correct point, empowered. These guys have these weapons in their possession, and you can see by some of the videos, hopefully they're maximizing the technology to look at that, look at the videos, see how they're operating, and with these weapons in their hands, these guys feel they can walk on water. And you can tell the indiscipline by the way they're carrying the weapons, the way they're playing with them. You don't play with these things. And it tells us that, yes, there's an ideology, a mindset into the minds of these young perpetrators that they feel that they have now been empowered because they have this high-powered, no pun intended, this high-powered military assault weapon in their possession, and they're anxious to use it. That is the point. They're antsy, and they're anxious to use it, and that is the dangerous point that, law enforcement now has to face out there in civil streets.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a kind of it's a catch-22 kind of situation, because you seem to have this you seem to have a flow of I can't say uninterrupted flow. Let me just say that there seems to be a flow of these kinds of weapons coming into the country, getting into the hands of these criminal elements, and the police, I mean, seize guns from time to time, and they do have in terms of whatever searches or whatever exercises that they do, but you don't feel like it's a huge impact in terms of getting all of these illegal guns. What can they do to get these illegal guns off the street that they're not doing?
I'm thankful for the invitation to speak on this subject, Richard. Thank you so much. You see, what has happened is that what we're seeing seizures on the streets, correct. And all kudos to the police service and to the leadership and to the investigations that is causing that. But what we're seeing is seizures after they have landed, after they have ended up in the hands of gangsters and robbers and in possession of. We've also seen, don't dismiss this, we've also seen where there have been stoppages and seizures out of Miami, out of various ports in the U.S. in barrels and boxes that have been carried for cargo and export into Trinidad, locked down here in containers here in Trinidad. We have found in warehouses, you found weapons, so there is a trade existing. So I am strongly advocating that when we had the kidnapping situation in Trinidad and Tobago, Wendell will be aware of this, and the Special Anti-Crime Unit was formed, was to bring, what is one of our key objectives, in the special, bring that to an end, bring that to a closure. We saw the formation of the anti-kidnapping unit in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. A unit was formed up to deal specific with kidnapping, linked up with the Special Anti-Crime Unit, linked up with foreign internationals, and we had a strong approach, a robust, a Manodura, steel fist approach to bring that thing to closure. We are now being threatened as a society with illegal arms and high-powered weapons on our civil streets. I am saying we need to form up a firearm interdiction unit utilizing our international counterparts, special operation and investigations, focus on bringing this to a closure, not only seizures on the streets, but dealing with the intelligence and the linkage with our international systems to stop that from even coming into country, and have a sort of holistic approach, utilizing the technological aspect of the intelligence and maximizing a sort of all hands on deck type of inter-services, as we did with the anti-kidnapping, and that was brought to a closure. So therefore, it has to be a concentrated effort, and a new unit has to be formed to deal with firearms only, not only out of the divisions, not only out of patrols and intercepts and tactical operations. A specific unit with a concentrated effort on bringing this to an end.
Garvin, I'm happy you said that, because, in a small country like Trinidad and Tobago, it's very difficult to believe that we don't know who bringing in these guns. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know how they're coming in, and we can't stop it. It's very difficult to believe that.
Correct. There is enough information that reflects on the ground from the intelligence system that can bring certain sort of operations into place that we can move and pushing back on this. Because, as I said, it's good, but we need to move from seizing weapons that are in the hands of and already on the streets. It got in the hands of these perpetrators and ended up on the street because there was a channel, there's a system, there's a routing, there's a money movement. There are a lot of players involved in this. It's an illegal trade. It is not an international aspect linked to transnational organized crime. These guys are just flicking the switch on how they can make money, and there may be people sitting down in boardrooms that planning this. Don't feel it's just the guys on the block and sit down under the bamboo patch are doing this. Guys, there's
I said that
mastermind in crime. A mastermind in crime reflects on people. And I don't like to wear shirt and tie because I and Wendell wear shirt and tie. But there's a shirt and tie approach to this. So there's a mastermind behind all of this. And as a country, we need to put our fingers on the pulse and move and pushing that back with and I'm saying this guardedly, in full respect, with a political will to bring this to an end.
Yeah. I said that this morning because we talk about bad parenting only when it comes to these young fellas and them who running about gun shooting. What about but we don't discuss bad parenting when it comes to these boardroom people with the shirt and tie who bringing in drugs and guns. We don't talk bad parenting with them. You know?
Oh, yeah. In fact, the legitimizing of transnational organized crime has made this thing look real. You know, so that is something that needs, and that is why I'm saying with a specific unit, with a concentrated effort on firearms interdiction and that type of stuff will carry the investigation to that level, and penetrate. That's what I'm saying. So that way we're taking it not off the hands of the perpetrators as on the ground, but we're preventing it from entering the country, and people are being held abroad and facing the consequences for the export of weapons.
Yeah. You indicated earlier, Garvin, that you felt that the TTPS was improving in terms of their capacity to deal with the crime situation. What is the evidence that's giving you that perspective? Because at this point we had 426, I believe, murders. But as of yesterday, because I don't know if any would have taken place since then. But as of yesterday, we are at 426 murders for 2022 in comparison to 280 in 2021. So there's obviously a deterioration in terms of the murder statistics. So what's giving you this? What is giving you this perspective? What's giving you this perspective that they're improving?
I will speak to that. I'm saying the homicides statistics are alarming. It is critical, and we know that it's a house on fire issue. We understand that. We have to understand also the holistic aspect of crime, Rich, and we look at all the various areas. What we are seeing is we're seeing a higher visibility. We're seeing more patrols being introduced. We are also seeing the investigations and the intelligence being utilized. Yes, they have some stopgaps. Yes, they need to be looking more at the technology and utilizing the technology for predictive policing. We understand that too. But I think in general, there is a drive to fix this. This is not going to be overnight. We're not going to see a reduction overnight. But I'm speaking based on the mentality, the approach, and that willingness by the police officers now. And I'm not echoing anything that I have heard. It's what I've seen. What my team is picking up. So there is more to be seen. That's what I'm saying. And this must be a motivational move here now. There is more to be seen. So I am expecting to hear from the acting commissioner and from the leaders and the systems of what is expected now, so that Trinidad and Tobago can judge you or judge on measuring your efficiency. Just as I'm saying, I know that there is expected now more to be seen, more to be heard, more actions, because we are visually stimulated, and that's where I am right now. I don't think we are declining and slipping. I think it's a climb back out, and they're working hard to bring back that. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take immeasurably a lot of support from the citizenry, and they have to bridge that gap now between community and police, so that we can be assured and there can be a comfort of confidentiality in how we can pass information, and more importantly, a citizen's role in assisting with this holistic crime situation that we are facing.
Yeah. Do you believe, Garvin? Because we would have seen a measure of success, and I'm saying that word in parentheses, when Gary Griffith became Commissioner of Police and went out there and challenged the status quo in terms of how he described people and how he challenged different districts and things like that. You understand? That approach to fighting crime then. In other words, I'm the big bad wolf then, and I come in for you. That's one. We also would have seen recently a dissipation of the activities in East Port of Spain since the appointment of Mr. Alexander there, who also has that type of approach. Do you think that is the type of approach that we need all over the country right now?
Approach is important in policing, because approach is message sending. And the former commissioner, Gary Griffin, had his way. He had his style. Senior Super Alexander also, I don't think Senior Super is acting ECP now or whatever, but regardless of rank, Mr. Alexander has his style also. But it is important that from a national perspective, a message needs to be sent. This is what I'm saying. It cannot be a pullback and a reactive now. These guys are asking, basically, when I say not the police, but the perpetrators are boasting in social media. You can see them, and they're presenting this sort of false empowerment, as Richard rightfully articulated, that they want to take on law enforcement. So I'm saying, send the message. You want to take on law enforcement, then we will take you on. That's where we are, and the message has to be sent. So yes, it is needed nationally. We need to take the message to them by our actions and to show them, hey, Trinidad and Tobago is not going to cower in fear. We're not going to pull into a corner, and we're not going to be scared of you. What we're going to tell you is that if it is a fight that you want, you're going to get a fight, because we have to bring back some order and we have to show who's in control. And this is what I am saying. So it might not be a Gary Griffith style, it might not be a Roger Alexander style, but what it has to be is a style that sends the message that we are not going to take that sort of action from you without showing you a response. That's what I'm saying. And there comes a time when you have to meet the fight on the half. You just only respond by, something happens, so we have a reactive response. It has to move to a point where, we need to move from just reacting, I said that earlier in another forum, to a hunt. It has to be a hunt. We know where you are, we know who you are, we know that you're armed and you're ready to engage, then we're going to engage you, because if this is what you want, we have to show you who's in charge. And I'm saying this because people say, Mr. Heerah, you're scared for your own life or whatever, but no, we are citizens, and it is a time that we have to stand up as the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, support the law enforcement elements and the national security elements, and take the fight back for country. This is what I'm saying, and I'm speaking this without any fear or favor. And I'm speaking this without any reservation. There is a time, Trinidad is facing a time now where we have to show the fight, whether in how we voice it, how we strategize it, how we tactically take it into control, but we cannot sit by and allow the perpetrators and the bandits and the gangs to take control of our country, and with a lower percentage. You want to fight, we're going to give you that. We are not going to wait and react. We're going to hunt you and get you, if that is the point. And that is the tone, that T-O-N-E, that's the tone that needs to be sent nationally. That's the message. You try it, we're going to get at you and bring it to some sort of control. And I think it might not be a Gary Griffith style, as I said. It might not be an Alexander style. It has to be a style that sends a clear, defined message that we are not going to sit down and allow you to carry on as you're carrying on.
Yeah.
Is that happening now, though? Is that kind of style happening now? Is that kind of tone being set to your satisfaction by the National Security Services at this point?
No, it's not. It's not. But you can tell that there's a desire and a willingness to do that. And I am encouraging the leaders that this is the approach. Basically, and pardon the language, Trinidad and Tobago, we need a sort of kick-ass approach at this point to ensure that full operations are in process, full tactical aspect is in process, and as we say in the military and law enforcement, it's time to gear up.
I sometimes wonder how the people who are importing these guns, because let's go down the road that it's not these boys on them who are using it, right? That someone, somewhere, some people somewhere are importing guns into this country for the sole purpose of selling or just to continue the mayhem for whatever reason or the other. I sometimes wonder how they feel when they see a video like that yesterday, where these guys in the middle of heavy traffic, cars coming in different directions, you just block a vehicle and spray it with bullets and kill two people and one fighting for their life. How could somebody just sit and look at that and say, boy, my bank account fat at least, or at least are creating mayhem. I don't know how that's.
Yeah, don't leave all the term illegal. It's an illegal trade, and there's a market. And once there's a market, there will be a supply. Once there's a supply, there will continue to be involved in it traders. So what we're saying is traders, trade, market, money. And these guys are heartless when it comes to that. And I think that don't think it's only the gangsters and those that we see that carry a certain image and characteristics. There are people who are intending to use the criminal corridors to make money. At the end of the day, it's transactional. It's about the money.
But you could have seen from the response, at least this is my perception. Let me qualify it by saying that. But my perception was that a lot of Trinidadians and Tobagonians yesterday were borderline or even beyond borderline celebratory about the fact that the police had killed those 4 bandits. And well, let's say alleged bandits at this point, but just being, legally correct. but there was a celebratory mood. I don't know if you got that sense, Garvin and Wendell. I don't know if you got that sense.
Yeah, I did. I picked that up by a couple of chats and what people were saying, celebratory in fact. But I think the underpinning of all of that is you get a sort of banner being raised. It is about time.
Yeah.
It is about time that we start see some sort of action, and not just a robbery that was taking place and a shooting and 2 people dead and the money goes missing and an investigation is processed. And as I always say, I don't like the term, but you hear it surfacing all the time in the media, known to the police. That term, that upsets me, gets me nauseated when you hear the term known to the police. If it's known to the police, then there should have been action. So what we're seeing is action, and we are thankful as a nation that we are seeing action. Guys, I had limited time. I'm going into an academic brief.
But let me ask you one quick question, Garvin. With regards to personnel within the protective services that doing this, I don't know how to ask you this, but there seems to be, if it's not with the police, it's with the other protective services that are doing illicit activities. How can they wean that out?
Yeah, definitely. What we are seeing now is the infiltration of the criminal element within the protective. So that's how you have to look at it. There's now an infiltration. The criminal elements are placing people inside of the protective services to conduct criminal activity. So we have to re-examine our vetting and our background checks now for recruitment. If you look back at the history, the youngster was supposed to have been what you call a model soldier, I think so, the alleged person who was arrested. So, we have to look at how we do our business with our background checks and our vetting, and that is not only for recruitment, that is throughout the system. There needs to be continued measurement and checks and evaluations being placed on our personnel, because criminal elements have infiltrated, and that infiltration has also been linked to lifestyle, has also been linked to social media, and there's a bridge in the middle of all of this. It's especially for our male counterparts in the protective services. And the bridge that infiltrates, and I'm going to quote to this point, that infiltrates and gets in the mind is called WOMAN. We have weaponized women outside there to get into the minds and into the character, into the behavior of the protective services. And my intelligence team is picking that up. That women have been used to lure protective service personnel into a certain type of behavior and attitude. So choose your woman wisely. The Prime Minister said that regarding men.
But there's a whole
Is that directed to Wendell?
There's a whole separate program you just started, yes, Garvin?
Yeah, but it is real. It is real, guys. And
I don't doubt it for 1 minute.
There is substance to back up what I'm saying. I can't speak that in the public domain into much more detail than I have. But our men are falling for that, and we are seeing what is happening.
All right, Garvin, I know you have to run off. Thank you so much for being with us on the Power Breakfast Show.
Not a problem.
All the best to you.
Thanks, Garvin.
All right, of course, that was Mr. Garvin Heerah, Commander Garvin Heerah, with us for a short time. 42 minutes after the hour is 7 o'clock. Or we could open up the lines and take some calls. I'm sure that some of our listeners would have an opinion on the issue.
AR-15 is a big gun. How is that coming in here? That ain't coming in no suitcase?
No.
Or no carry-on luggage?
No.
Well, I mean, part of it is the trade between Venezuela and Trinidad, and if you could get humans across here, you could get ammunition across here.
I guess so.
Exactly. And people from here go back to Venezuela for a vacation and come back using these means,
So we don't, but we know that, Richard.
And the Minister of National Security has said that the radar is up and running.
I remember we had we had purchased some new boats that are supposed to deal with this issue, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we received those boats, not so?
They were commissioned, yes.
Yeah.
Are they you haven't gotten an update recently on what their interdictions stats are in terms of what they've done, in terms of the waters between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela, because I think a lot of it was that.
Yeah. And the
But you
police
have,
relaunched their Marine branch too?
yeah, I believe so.
Yes.
So, but you don't hear any data coming out with regard to those things at all. You just
No.
don't.
No.
No, you don't. You know, and I mean, yes, you have a gun. It's like having a phone, but you have to charge it. You have to get ammunition. You know, and for the police to recover, I think for the Pennywise issue, I think they recovered over 100 spent shells. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
over
that's
100.
crazy.
Yep.
That's 100.
Yeah. 100 rounds of ammo fired at the crime scene. 100, eh?
But good news, and this is for all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. There are people that are going and dealing with it, donating blood to the security officer. Sexy San Fernando is one that's donating blood. That she told me at 7 o'clock. During our newscast at 7 as well, Evie did say that people are going to donate blood. So kudos to the population of Trinidad and Tobago. To you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that
It's like a way you can stand up against them in a kind
Yes.
of way.
Yeah, it is.
It's a kind of indirect way of standing up.
Yeah.
Or kind of direct, but it's an indirect way of standing up to the criminal element and saying no.
Exactly.
We are going to help how we can
Exactly.
in dealing with, you know.
100 spent. I mean, again, condolences go out to the officers, and I of Highlight Security. Really sorry.
You run out of a car, right? 6 of you, 4 of you, well, or maybe 4 of them have AR-15s. And you couldn't surround that car and get what you want to get without shooting anybody. You didn't go there to rob. You went there to kill people. Kill people you don't know. Kill people working hard for
They
it.
care about that, you know, Wendell.
No,
Well, that's what Garvin is talking about. You know, he's talking about discipline.
yeah.
He's talking about discipline, but they feel so empowered. They feel they just have to fire off the gun. They have no discipline. There's no discipline operating there.
No order, no order.
We have a call, gentlemen. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, morning. Wonderful morning, everybody.
Morning,
Good morning,
How
Mr.
you doing?
Patrick.
I like listening to Gary Heerah, man. Remind me of
Garvin.
Well, it's Garvin Heerah. So now that you got the name correct, proceed.
Remind me of Gary Griffith. I take the fight to the people.
Gary Heerah.
No, Garvin Heerah does not remind anybody of Gary Griffith. They're two different personalities entirely there.
No. What the man saying, take the fight to the people.
Right.
Because at the end of the day,
But that's not how Gary Griffith would have said it. Gary Griffith wasn't saying it like that.
what 100 bullets I war?
One shot, one kill.
100 bullets in war. 100 bullets, 100 people got dead.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, them boys have some big war gun and like them is gun are using war.
Yeah.
War. So at the end of the day, you come out in the road with this gun and always shoot up. But something wrong with them people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were saying, Mr. Wendell, it was correct. That lady wasn't supposed to be highlighted at all in the public.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with that.
When I see the thing, I tell my wife, what the commissioner of police trying to do, right? Set up your mother. Because the end of the day, you can't do that. It's 4 people bandits now get killing your man house. What are they really doing, boy? What are they really doing, boy? But the issue is up with the vehicle. And I was watching, people keep saying, oh, that's a heavy armored vehicle you're supposed to use to do that kind of job.
You know, it was really, when you look at this scenario and they're transporting money, presumably on a regular basis, that type of situation and the vehicle and all that is really inadequate, highly inappropriate. If they have no bulletproof vests, given the fact they're transporting money on a regular basis, inadequate.
Yeah.
You know the kind of...
This was a crime waiting to happen.
You know the kind of place we live in. Everybody looking together. Put the people in proper equipment.
Thanks, Mr. Patrick. All right. And remember, too, that probably was not the only... That was not the only stop that the security officers had to make. If they're doing cash in transit, that is not the only
You know, you're
scam.
talking about they were in Garvin said they were indisciplined. I mean, you expect criminals who are going to rob people to have discipline of any kind. The mere fact that they're going to rob people speaks to their indiscipline, their lack of
No,
respect.
I think
for
he's
authority.
contextualizing it in that there is a criminal element that is not going to just shoot wildly. And
They have a moral code as to they will have some kind of carrying people around and only shoot at their targets.
no, there are some criminals like that. The older criminal, if you and you've spoken to criminal elements and when you went into prison, the older criminals.
Well, they in jail or they're dead.
I know, but the older criminals will tell you that the younger ones have no discipline.
True, agreed.
They will say
But
things like that.
but I would say the older ones are in jail or dead because the younger ones are the disciplined ones and they're out there.
Yeah.
They have no these gangs are very disparate now, you know. They have no heads and order and thing anymore, you know.
Yeah, that seems to be what's happening.
And that's part of the issue now. Long ago they had the Sandman and the Kojo and this and that, who instilled some kind of, I guess it's fear and order over them so they could do this and they wouldn't do that and they didn't used to run wild. But now it's every man for themselves to do what they want. Look at the ages. If I'm to believe what I'm seeing on social media as the persons who would have perpetrated this act, they look like 23, 22, 18. So, I mean, the fact that they're out there, what discipline they could have, who trained them in what way?
You see, they're wounded. They're brought in by the gang leaders and brainwashed.
From very young.
From young.
They're working with gangs from the time they're 11, 12 years old in many cases. So by the time they get to 18 this season,
You know, a 17-year-old or 18-year-old leaving a house at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm just calling a time. And coming back at 4 or 5 o'clock. And nobody's asking where you went, what you're doing, keeping tabs.
and you get a lot of money, why ask?
Yeah, and you ain't you're not working. A thick gold chain costing $30,000.
A lot of these guys' parents can't talk to them, you know. Can't ask them nothing, you know.
Yeah.
Because the parents are nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
And
that
even if
is
they're
one.
wrong, they
And even if
still-
they're around, you're right, they can't ask them anything.
Yeah, they can't.
I have had people around.
They have
me
lost that
who
element
can't
of
talk to their
control.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes back to what you were saying, Wendell. The way they were brought up, parenting.
Well, when you look at that video, you realize that they are really wild. Wild is the best way to describe it. I guess that's the indiscipline Garvin was speaking.
Wired or wild? What is
Wild, wild,
Right, wild.
erratic, and they really thought, I guess, they would get away with it because there's so much crime happening where people are not apprehended, and that's why we have to really give kudos to the TTPS.
Yeah.
Because they actually were on the scene very quickly, pursued them, engaged them. No officer was hurt or killed, thank God. Which speaks to a certain kind of operation by the police.
Yeah.
Because these guys had AR-15 weapons, high-powered military-grade weapons, and the police were able to coordinate and cordon them off under a house. They were already shooting to the police, knew that they were capable of discharging weapons indiscriminately, right? So going into the police knew what to expect. And the 4 of them died. Commissioner Jacob told us yesterday, one and a service officer was assisting police with the investigations. So, I mean, very often we chastise the police for not following up leads and not being able to make progress in these cases, but they did very, very well yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, kudos to the
And well,
TTPS.
Very, very well.
The police commissioner, I think he also said that there's body cam footage from the officers who were on that exercise.
But we asked him that yesterday. He didn't have that information yet.
No, he when I saw it on television last night, he called one of the officers forward to and showed the body cam on him.
Excellent.
You know?
Because we asked him that and he was on his way down there yesterday before when we spoke to him, and he said he would have had to confirm whether it was body cam, dash cam, or CCTV footage. So you see again the importance of the technology.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll release a couple of the images so that we could see the kind of engagement. I don't think anybody will argue with the result of the engagement. You understand?
And I do find that there is more visibility of the TTPS now.
No, and roadblocks everywhere, and
sometimes it fluctuates, but I find you do see them consistently more visible now, even on the highways.
Yeah, along the East-West corridor. I've been saying that
you see them. I remember I had a friend who had gotten robbed from his garage, maybe a month or 2 months, maybe a month ago or so, and he told me that there is a ramping up of police in the area, that you see them driving around. And one day he was driving into his garage and they had passed and they reversed as his garage door was open and said, "Is everything all right? Everything okay?" And so he is pleased with.
And there's a lot more of that happening.
There's much more visibility happening. They're not just
But I'll tell you something. Yesterday, Ruben and myself had to do a site visit, and so we went. And of course, as we entered the road, there was a police jeep one time. So we stopped and, I was asking if everything is all right. What they were doing, they saw a guy on the road and they pulled out their laptop and ran through, they took his insurance, ran through that the vehicle, license plates and engine number had matched up.
And you're right, and I'm seeing that a lot more. They're just stopping people. Some may say they're profiling, but they're pulling them over and asking questions about where you are, where you're going, and stuff like that.
And I have no problem with that. If they pull me over and say, "Let me see your driver's permit, let me see insurance."
You need to get and use 2 doubles and a roti, Steve.
No, 2 doubles and a red soul.
Well, that's all again. 2 doubles and a roti.
We did have an adoption roti yesterday for lunch.
You ain't look like no criminal. You can't run nowhere. You can't hide nowhere.
Yeah, but okay, so let's use that. Not all criminals look alike. They have criminals wearing a shirt and tie.
You're not physically.
But my point about it is
you're right. The ones in the office could look like you. You're right.
Yeah, look at Richard. Look at Wendell. They look like bandits. Why we even talk about you? But no. But the point is that they came to make a patrol. They saw a car there with no houses around, and engaged them. And they had the technology where they opened their laptop and ran through everything.
You know what's another thing that you notice on social media? I guess we live in such a politically, a PC correct world. The people are afraid to say they're happy with the outcome.
Yeah.
Maybe
You know that nobody wants to say that. But happy in the sense that we're not happy that the security guards were killed. But in when you look at the chatter on social media, it has gotten to the point of people so fed up that no one is upset that they ended up dying at the scene of the bandits.
No, that's what I'm saying. And simply because they would have had the benefit of the video before. The video
You
of
made
them
it indiscriminately shot at people.
The guards. You understand?
100 shells, Paul.
Yeah.
100.
People would have had the benefit of seeing that video and say, well, fine.
I am sorry. I know I'm not to say it. And I know I'm supposed to say all life is precious. And we're supposed to take them in and pass them through the criminal justice system. But I cannot say I'm sorry with the outcome in that way.
And
I would be lying.
The firing indiscriminately all over the place. And a young boy is now shot close to his eye. If that bullet was 1 inch.
Well, he wasn't grazed, Steve. He wasn't shot.
Well, he was grazed. No, but have you seen it? Well, he was grazed. But 1 inch to the right, he'd be dead.
Not even an inch.
Not even an inch, correct.
Yeah. Not even an inch, because that, I mean, it's God save that child.
And then we'll be talking about something else this morning.
Yeah. It will be another child.
Another child.
In the hands of bandits.
Yeah. Not on the ankle, not in the head. Let's take some calls, gentlemen. We have some coming through. Running up to 8. We'll continue to take some calls after 8. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Miss San Fernando.
Those guys that have those long guns, like how they were in the pickup truck with the long gun, they're supposed to have other small gun inside the bosom somewhere. If they had that, they could have probably pulled it out and shoot. They couldn't maneuver the long gun to shoot the bandit. You understand what I mean? Although they have the long gun, they should have a small one somewhere on them.
Miss Sampson, they were ambushed, you know. I don't think they had a chance.
Oh.
They didn't have a chance to draw anything. They were ambushed and just
I'm confused,
fired
yeah.
upon.
I'm confused.
It's not like if the guys and them came out with the gun pointing and saying, "Oh, yeah, robbery."
Good morning, caller.
They didn't do that. They just started to shoot.
Now, I hear you guys talking, and I agree that the police service has some improvement in terms of their policing. But you know what we still have to do is we still have to improve the front desk service at police stations. I mean, I'll give you an example. This weekend, I had an exercise up in Santa Cruz with about 70 young people at a campsite, and I went to the police station, Santa Cruz police station there, to inform them we are here, we're camping just up the road, just informing you guys in case anything. But I'll tell you, a police woman that was there, she came out and she she didn't even want to talk. She was like, okay, did you inform the fire service? And but no, we never do that before. We just normally come and say, we're here, this is who we are, and this is what we're doing and stuff. And I said, oh, well, next time you need to write us a letter before and all these kinds of stuff. I mean, come on. I mean, the front level service of the police service can be improved, the customer service, I thought. And that still needs to work because that's where you develop the public trust.
Yeah.
And you're right about that, because I had a conversation not too long ago with the acting commissioner of police, Jacobs, about that same thing. If you do not camp in Santa Cruz and you go to Santa Cruz police station and say, listen, we are camping out here, they should say, okay, fine, no problem, exactly where you're going to be, no problem, we know you're there, we'll send some patrols every so. That's all.
It's simple matter to take the information.
That's all.
Who's the contact person there, just in case, we need to contact you, etc. And that's all you need to do, but it was to a degree.
Yeah, and if anything happens, this is our direct number, call us immediately.
Yeah.
And they pinpoint exactly where you guys going to be. So if anything happens, it's not is that after the water pump or before, or if you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's around
That's a conversation the commissioner and I had a Saturday morning, and we spoke in length about that. Anyway, thanks, Katie. All the best to you.
Sure.
We'll continue your calls after 8 o'clock. Evie is in. The 10 days of mourning is over, Evie. I just want to let you know that. No need to wear complete black. Just saying. Let's get into our news brief. It's exactly 8 o'clock on this, the 20th.